Hey guys, Frosty Knives here, back with another video. And as you can tell from behind me, I have moved. So I took some time to move into some new digs, get a new setup going here. So I figured I would take this time to do a nice, easy video to ease back into book reviews. So I'm going to be reviewing a book that a few of you have recommended to me over the months and years. I thought this would be a good read and something that I was sort of very interested in getting into. So today we are going to be talking about the debut novel from C.J. Tudor. We're going to be talking about The Chalk Man. And a lot of people have recommended this book to me because of its similarities to Stephen King. And I don't know if you can tell, but on the back, it does say, there's even a little blurb from King on the back that says, "Want to read something good? If you like my stuff, you'll like this, Mr. King." So I read earlier this year, I read The Other People by C.J. Tudor, and I really enjoyed it. So I saw this book at my local supermarket, and I picked it up because I wanted to read more by the author. And I wanted to read this one specifically because a few folks have sort of brought it to my attention. So today we're going to be talking about The Chalk Man. And right off the bat, I just want to say that I really like the cover. I'm a big fan of red and black put together, as you can tell. So I enjoy the cover, the red leaves, and the white chalk outlining the title of the book. So this was C.J. Tudor's debut novel. She's a British author. This book was published in 2018. And this paperback clocks in at 350 pages if you include the acknowledgement page at the end. So not too bad. So I picked it up because a lot of people have said there's a lot of similarities to this book and Stephen King books, specifically It, because both books deal with a group of children who go through something traumatic as kids, and then 25, 30 years later as adults, they have to revisit that same thing again. So that is where the similarities really to Stephen King and this book sort of begin and end. This book, if I was to compare this to any sort of Stephen King book at all, this is sort of an homage or a mishmash of It and Stand By Me. So it really is like Stand By Me with some elements of It to it. And I want to say right off the top of the bat that this book is not a horror book, although it does have some horrifying imagery in it, especially right off the bat. But it's not a horror book. It is a thriller. It is a murder mystery. It is a story about a bunch of children, 5 children, who stumble upon a dead body as children, about 12 years old, and they think that they've sort of figured it out, and then 30 years later, that sort of happenstance comes back to haunt them, and they have to revisit their past. They have to figure out the mysteries that they thought were solved and dead and buried in their past, and now they have to, as adults, figure out what actually happened as children. So the book is, I gave this book, actually both of C.J. Tudor's books, this one and The Other People that I've read, I gave both of them a 5 on Goodreads because I really, really enjoyed this book. And I really enjoyed the way this author writes. She doesn't write extremely technical, but she doesn't write extremely dumbed down. She writes at a level where it sort of just kind of grabs you, sort of like someone's just sitting there in front of you telling you a story around the campfire. She sort of just, she has this prose about her, the way she writes, that she just sort of tells you this story, and it just sort of, it carries you along. It hooks you, and it just carries you along. I read this in under a week, and it took me a week to read it because I had other things going on. If I really were going to just devote some time to this book, I would have had it done in a weekend, 2 days tops, because it was that good. Because it hooks you, and the writing is just so sort of like familiar, like an old friend is sitting down telling you a story, and it carries you along all the way through to the point where you just want to keep reading to find out what's going on. And as the mystery is unraveling, each chapter sort of illuminates more and more and more. Not that each chapter ends on a cliffhanger, but it kind of does, because each chapter gives you another nugget, another piece of the puzzle. And it builds from the first chapter, where it starts real small, and then each chapter just builds, and it builds, and it builds, and it builds. It gives you a little bit of information, a little nugget each chapter, each time, sort of like wiping away the dirty spots on the windows so you can see, until finally you get to the end and you get the whole story that the book has been building to. There were some interesting twists in the book. There was some horrific imagery in the book. As a murder mystery, I did not guess the end. The end came as sort of a twist and a surprise. I didn't guess it on my own, so that's always a plus. When you're reading like a murder mystery thriller type, where you don't just figure it out by chapter 2, and then you read it all the way through, and then you go, yeah, I kind of knew that, because the end of it tells you what you already knew in chapter 2. This is not like that. I didn't figure it out, actually, at all. So it did keep me, it kept me entertained, and it kept me reading really well. Like I said, the homage to King really, it starts and it stops with, this is a story about 5 children who are outcasts in the mid-'80s, who go to a fair. Things happen. They eventually find a dead body, a little girl in the woods, and some drawings of some chalk men led the kids to the body. And that's sort of really where the whole comparison begins and ends. It's a story about childhood, like King's It, and like Stand By Me. It's a story about childhood, about the darkness of childhood, about the secrets of childhood. It's a story about the secrets of a small town, how people in small towns aren't really what they seem. They all have sort of bones in their closet, skeletons in their closet. So it really is sort of shining a light on the darkness and the hidden corners of childhood that we all know are there, and we just sort of like to ignore them and push them away and shut the doors on them. So I really enjoyed reading this book. This author has 2 more novels. The Burning Girls is one, and the other one is called The Hiding Place, and I am really looking forward to, I've read half of her bibliography at this point. I may as well read the rest. There's 2 more to go. I know my library has at least one of them. So I'm really going to look forward to seeing the rest of what the author has to offer. But I would really recommend reading this. I would really recommend, if not putting it on your shelf, buying a copy and putting it on your shelf, at least going down maybe to your local library and borrowing a copy, because I think this is well worth your time. If you like murder mysteries and thrillers and stories about dark spots in childhood and things like that, I think you would really enjoy The Chalk Man. It wasn't what I thought going into it. I thought I was going to get a horror story, a horror novel, and there was some imagery in here in the beginning, especially, that led me to believe this would be a horror novel. But it wasn't. It was a thriller, and that is not a ding. That was just sort of a happy revelation. Oh, so we're reading a murder mystery, and it was good. It was really good. I really enjoyed it. Like I said, I gave it a 5 on Goodreads. And I do think that this is well worth your time. I do think you should pick it up, read a copy of it, buy it, or borrow it, or, you know, just find a copy and read it. It's not a hard read. It's a good read. It's an easy read. It'll hook you and it'll keep you interested. I never went too far without this around. So if I had some downtime, I could read some chapters. So guys, that is my review of The Chalk Man. 5 stars, thumbs up, give it a read. I think it's well worth your time, and I think that this is an author well worth keeping your eye on. So guys, I hope you enjoyed my review of The Chalk Man and my new digs here. And I've got some ideas of what I want to do for reviews. I think we're going to get back into maybe doing some King reviews, because there's a couple of things I want to do. A couple of books I want to revisit. One of them specifically is a book of Stephen King's that most people, including the author, hate. And I enjoyed it, so I want to go back and reread it and review it for you guys to see, do I still enjoy it, and why do I enjoy it? And we should talk about this book, because I think this book is a very pivotal book in Stephen King's bibliography. I think this is a book where things changed for King. And I think it's important. I think it's important because it really is a pivotal point in King's writing for a lot of reasons, and it deserves its own review. So guys, hope you enjoyed the review of The Chalk Man. And as always, if you're not subscribed, please subscribe. If you like it, just pass it around. Tell your friends, tell your enemies, give it to your neighbors. Shout it from the heavens. And until next time, I will see you in the next video.